All right, we have the news that a lot of Charlotte FC fans have been kind of on the edge of their seats waiting for, and who better than Tommy Scoops, as we like to call him, Tom Bogert, just recently posted the news that Patrick Agyemang's sale to Derby County is official. Tom, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so the deal has been agreed in principle between Charlotte FC and Derby County over the transfer of Patrick Agyemang. The deal is in the region of $8 million plus $2 million in add-ons and a big sell-on percentage for Charlotte FC, which is key because they still believe in Patrick Agyemang and they believe he's still developing and he has another move and another level to get to. This has been a long time coming. There was an offer in the winter that was around $4 million, so Charlotte did things right by waiting until now. Derby County has been pushing very, very hard. This bid kind of came in last week and Patrick Agyemang wants to go to Derby County, but there were several other clubs, several big clubs that were saying, "Hey, like we need to wait until we sell a player, or we need to get the finances right." There was a lot of like, "Hey, we're gonna bid, just don't accept an offer yet." And Charlotte kind of held out as long as they could, and they accepted the Derby County offer, and Patrick Agyemang is getting the move that he wants.
Yeah, so I mean, you said they were maybe waiting for a move. Nothing largely has happened. So what do you think it took until right now that made them go pen to paper?
It just makes sense for everybody. For Patrick Agyemang, it takes away any question mark of if I'm gonna go, where I'm gonna go, when I'm gonna go. Like he's greenlit this Derby County project. He wants to go, so he was kind of ready for that. For Charlotte FC, while honestly, I think that maybe they could have waited but like then that gets really dicey. The personal relationships again between the club and Agyemang remain strong. They love him, but how it goes in this business. The club and the players' side, they're not always going to see eye to eye. So this ends up being a good compromise between the two. And I do think that there's a risk if this dragged out any longer, if Charlotte tried to hold it, maybe Derby County goes and tries to sign somebody else, and then things get really, really bad. So I think it just made sense for everybody. Charlotte held on as long as they could, and now Patrick Agyemang is very close to this move. And I do want to say it's all agreed in principle. It's they still need to do the final details. Everybody I've talked to is confident, but just want to cover myself here in case something falls through.
Absolutely. Pat's story has been pretty well documented now. I talked to him before the season started because even at that time, like you mentioned, there were some rumors already about being linked to some clubs in Europe. And he was pretty candid in telling me, that's obviously every player's dream is to go play in Europe with some of the best in the world. Just watching that progression from D3 going up to D1 and then, of course, ending up with Charlotte FC. How cool is that story to see him now maybe taking this next step?
It's unbelievable. Hey, as a former D3 athlete myself, I'm always going to be using that detail for Patrick Agyemang. But listen, man, like we talk about development in this country, we talk about professionalizing it with the academies in MLS and USL and elsewhere. That is the primary route for most players, and that is a modern way. That is the best way for most players. But the beauty of this game, the beauty of this country is not everybody's going to get caught in that net. Some players are going to be overlooked. Some players are going to develop later. Even with Patrick Agyemang, he started in D3 school and then he transferred to D1. And even when he went to the D1 school, it wasn't UVA, it wasn't a traditional powerhouse. And it's a credit to him for everything he's worked for never giving up, for always believing, no, I'm the guy. I'm going to make it. This is my dream and I want it. Like when he was playing for the US national team in Connecticut and he was talking about I used to walk to the stadium with my family. Like this is just an incredible bookend. And Charlotte FC as well, like they drafted him. It's much more important to have a functioning academy, but you can still get really good players in the draft if you do it right, if you develop them, use their second team. And again, first and foremost, all of the credit has to go to Patrick Agyemang for the development, but Charlotte put him in the place to succeed, and now everybody's happy.
Do you think that his performance as of late in the Gold Cup has had any sort of stance on maybe we all knew that he was going to be looked at by these clubs, but maybe the monetary value that he's being seen at, having scored multiple goals in this Gold Cup run, do you think that's played a factor?
I don't. It doesn't hurt, right? But like these teams are doing scouting. Like, look, when Patrick Agyemang had, I don't know, probably 8 appearances in the Charlotte first team, Charlotte were getting bits for him. Like the scouting is so advanced, the football network is so advanced. The funny thing about this is, like, U.S. national team fans have been really critical of Patrick Agyemang, and it's like the other side of this is where the clubs like Derby County and others are saying, no, 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 we really want him. If you can hold, like, we want a bit. Like it's just funny that juxtaposition of reading some Twitter comments sometimes versus like talking to a chief scout of a club or talking to people who are like, yeah, Darby County don't care that he missed a couple chances against Guatemala, right? Like, so it's always interesting. And again, that's not a critique of the fans. It's just how these things can be portrayed, and particularly when it's national team. And again, as on the 3rd of July, I'm wearing a USA jersey, which seems weird to be talking about fans as I look like a fan right now. But like these things are all are super emotional when it's a fan, and that's how it should be. But with the club side, it's like if he scored a hat trick, yeah, that would have been nice. But like if he didn't score any goals, it's not like Darby would have been. Never mind, we don't want him.
Sure. A keyboard warrior though always has something to say. So even if things are good, they're still gonna find something to talk about. As for Charlotte FC now, they've got a 6-4 hole up at striker now that they're kind of looking maybe to fill. Of course, they still have Idan Toklamati, who has been playing throughout this Gold Cup run as well as we've seen him throughout the season. What do you think's next for them in terms of their needs, maybe looking to find a striker?
So in the interim, it's going to be Idan Toklamati continuing just like it has been with Patrick Agyemang on U.S. national team duty. No matter what, a new signing can't debut until after July 24th. That's when the summer transfer window opens. That's when you can register a new player. Charlotte FC are obviously prepared for this eventuality. They have targets. They have ideas. Getting things done early in the summer is difficult if they can get the right guy in with the right target. Like we think back to last year, they had several high profile players that they came close to, but ultimately, for one reason or another in each deal, it didn't work out.
Right.
Charlotte FC have an open designated player spot, which means they have the most flexibility they can to address the number 9 role, and I'm expecting them to fill it this summer. We'll see what way they go. One name I do know of is Giorgos Yakimakis. Used to play for Atlanta United. He's currently with Cruz Azul in Mexico. He's leaving that club. I know he's at least of interest of Charlotte, but last time I asked several weeks ago, there hadn't been any contact or anything serious. We'll see if that progresses, but I'm certain he's not the only option. There are plenty of players in the mix here, and we'll see how this develops over the next few weeks.
Yeah, obviously the run of form for Charlotte FC over the past month or so hasn't been up to their standard. Goal scoring is something that they have struggled with, and that is a hole that Patrick did fill while he was here. And while he was gone, of course, they were needing those goals from him. So is that going to be their number one priority as they're looking at that window later in July?
Absolutely. 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 It's the most consequential, again, because it's a designated player spot. They have the outsized importance on the squad. That is absolutely the top priority. There will be some other things that the club are going to want to do this summer, but if they get the number 9 right and everything else wrong, it's going to be a net positive.